on. The last thing I wanted to ask is like, how do you think people can be, well, first of all, like we're trying to recenter the conversation around autism. And to me, that like starts like this, right? Just groups of autistic people, like inviting other people who are autistic or not autistic themselves to like see the things we have to say about our life. Because I don't know about you guys, but or you all, but like, I don't, in the mainstream autism movement, I don't see a lot of like voices or people that represent me. How do you all feel about that? Or like, do you guys feel represented by mainstream autism? When I say mainstream autism, I mean like Autism Speaks type stuff.
Not at all.
No. We're the boogeyman, according to those people. We
Yeah.
shouldn't exist. They want to erase us. They want us to have been destroyed before we ever were born.
I remember when they rebranded, and I was like, why are they still making us sound like we're not intelligent?
Subtle eugenics. It's only subtle eugenics now. No, it's not overt eugenics. It's subtle eugenics. It's much better.
So obviously, like a lot of groups give money, a lot of individuals give money to groups like Autism Speaks. There's an event tonight. It might have started already on the spectrum by what's it called, Next for Autism. So these kind of groups that raise money with, whether they give it to other groups or not, like I know Next for Autism is mostly funding like a psychiatric clinic that includes like autistic patients. Like a lot of the funding seems to go towards curing autism, preventing autism, and or making autistic people like mask or blend into a neurotypical world, which we have all mentioned at some point here that is incredibly exhausting and like leads to burnout, leads to health issues, stuff like that. How do you think people can like support autistic people without supporting these organizations?
Well, I mean, there are autistic people out there who are just like any other business owner out there having businesses, and you can buy from autistic people and amplify autistic people, share their autistic businesses. Autistic people who are out there like us, we are spreading education, and that is our main mission for a lot of us here in this room today. You can help us by amplifying our voices and sharing what it is that we're trying to get out there, because a lot of us can't afford to pay for Facebook advertising or monetization or any of those things that unfortunately Facebook and these platforms sometimes hold our stuff hostage and say, if you don't pay, we won't let anybody see it. So it's like, help us fight back against those giants that are not letting us be seen. We're fighting against these algorithms, right? And don't share these narratives that are not by autistic people and paint autistic people as if we are some kind of lesser broken version of a neurotypical person. We are autistic people. We're not broken neurotypical people. And it's time we are able to be in control of our own narrative.
Can I say something? Much. I think it's, oh, sorry. T, did you want to go?
Yes. I feel like I'm in the middle of something. The spikiest profile on earth. Evaluator said it's as if I simultaneously should be successful and also could have ended up in a terrible place. Slow processing, but still understand.
So yeah, just a reminder, if you're in the audience, to just get your video off and mute yourself. T, if you're comfortable. Oh, they just typed it, so sometimes I need to hear things twice before I know what it says. Cool. Brandy, did you want to say something?
I was just going to just make the point that if they would just listen to us, if these organizations would listen to us and not just include us, but step out of the way. I mean, we have it. We have this. There are autistic led organizations, and so many of these things like Next or Autism Speaks, I just don't think they need to exist. It's like, just let us do it. Let us handle these things. And I think that, yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take for that to happen, but and just listen to us.
I think it's also important too to like that even amongst our own community to be listening to each other as well. Like when you were asking about, you know, do we feel represented? A lot of these organizations only represent, or a lot of, you know, only represent certain types of autistics, certain colors of autistics, certain genders of autistics. And I feel like it's not always about all of us, even within our own community. And I think that's played out pretty well this week, because I'm still over the end of that other event. But yeah, I think that's, you know, even starting from our in the inside, the community too, would be really good to support each other, because, like, you know, community care is something and we need it.
So I have someone in our participants that actually they were asked to sit on the board for Next Autism. They'd like to speak. Is that okay, Jers? So Constantine, if you want to unmute and ask your question, or not question, tell us what's up.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, I wanted to say I really appreciate you putting this panel together. I think it's so great to have so many faces and names that I recognize through so many different, not just social media accounts, but out in the world doing all the good work come together. My name is Council Member Constantine Anthony in the city of Burbank. I'm California's first openly autistic elected official. I was approached last week to submit my application for the board for Next for Autism. They apparently got very upset about people giving them pushback. So whatever we're doing out there, it's working. It's forcing them to take stock of what they're doing in their practices. They had told me they had a board member for a couple of years who hasn't been on there for a while, but who was autistic. And, you know, the first question I asked her is like, why is there only one? I mean, why are you doing a charity for people with zero representation from that demographic? It was just very upsetting to hear that. And so, you know, I played along and I submitted a very unapologetic resume. I explained to them, you know, the language of whatever charity is working on this needs to change. I mean, the words they're using are harmful. The ideas of what they're perpetuating are harmful. You know, ABA therapy is on all of their websites and pamphlets, and it's just, you know, it is something that needs to change drastically. They accepted it. I have yet to hear back from them. So, you know, let's see if they're willing to do those changes. I'm not holding my breath for any of this, but if we keep pushing, if we keep being loud and giving that, you know, speaking that truth to power, these charities are going to start listening. And, you know, a number of celebrities who were scheduled to be on this color of the spectrum thing tonight actually bowed out. There were some people who dropped off. So our voices are getting out there and they're starting to hear us. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing. I support the work that you guys are all doing, and it's just lovely to see this come together. So thank you all for this.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for breaking that down. I'm sure it was helpful to a lot of people. It was helpful to me. Yeah, I think, you know, something we have to start seeing from organizations, individuals too, is like, well, like we decide what support we need. We decide where money goes. This is something anybody with intersecting identity can relate to. Like when I see non-trans people making money off of trans people, like in like medical clinics, for example, you know, it's like a very hard thing. I get very, very upset. I get very angry. They usually end up being people, like if they don't respond well to me addressing it, I they're not the kind of people I can have in my life a lot of times. Like but at the same time, my best friend, like in the world, who's probably in this chat, is ADHD, and they're not trans, they're gender diverse, and they specialize in working with trans folks in acupuncture. And the way they go about it is by having like being informed by trans people, like trans people inform the work they do. There's like a really, I think people can get very, they just put hearts in the comment. I think people can get really confused about like, we're supposed to support and help, but we have to be silent and sit back. And it's like, no, you need to like learn how to support and help. And so I think something that it really blows people's minds with autistic people is that like we think for ourselves and we can make decisions. And as you can see now, we can come together as a group. We can have like probably a much more pleasant conversation than a group of neurotypicals. There won't be a lot of like, what the heck is that person trying to say? Not to say the autism community is perfect. There's like a lot of work to do. But I just feel like that's what needs to change. I don't want to hear like organizations that have been giving money to, you know, curing autism to now say, oh, but we're giving money to like these nonprofits. It's like, who did you ask to do that? Who instructed you to do that? And